The soul is not searching for another. It is searching for the part of itself that knows how to love. You feel this longing at the quiet edges of your awareness, like two lights flickering inside the same chamber, reaching toward each other without yet knowing they belong together. This is the ancient mystery of the inner marriage, the hidden union of will and wisdom, the radiating and the receiving currents within your own being. From the beginning, these two lights have moved through you. One shines forward as intention, the active force that shapes, chooses, creates, and steps into the world. The other receives as awareness, the receptive depth that understands, softens, listens, and holds. When they drift apart, you feel divided. When they turn toward each other, your life begins to harmonize. The Gospel of Philip reveals this truth in a single luminous line. When the male and the female become one, you shall enter the kingdom. You sense that this is not about bodies, nor about earthly relationships. It is the description of a union that happens within consciousness itself. The moment when your inner currents stop competing and begin to embrace. You recognize these two lights as soon as you look inward with sincerity. One pushes, one yields, one reaches, one understands. One acts with focus, one feels with depth. You have lived entire seasons of your life dominated by one or the other. Times when you forced your will without listening to your heart. Times when you listened endlessly without rising into action. These are the marks of separation, the soul's original fracture replayed in human form. Sophia holds the receptive light, the vessel of wisdom. She is not weakness. She is clarity, intuition, compassion, the profound ability to hold truth gently until it reveals its essence. The bridegroom holds the active light, the crown of intention. He is not domination. He is direction, purpose, courage, the radiant impulse to bring vision into being. In their harmony lies the secret of the soul. In their reunion lies the path to wholeness. When the vessel and the crown recognize each other, something awakens in you, a sense of being complete, capable, and deeply rooted in truth. You feel the flow of love, not as longing, but as alignment. In this prologue, you stand at the threshold of their meeting, two lights waiting to become one, two halves of the same divine fullness reaching across the inner distance. The journey now begins with their first separation, the moment creation divided itself so that love might call it back. In the beginning, there was only one light, seamless, silent, whole. It did not know itself as radiant because nothing yet stood apart to witness its glow. It did not know itself as love because nothing had stepped back far enough to long for its warmth. Wholeness is perfect, but it is also without experience. And so the one softened inward, creating within itself a gentle divide, not a wound, not a fall, a space, a mirror, a beginning. Creation begins here, with the first impulse of consciousness to see itself. This turning inward becomes the first separation, the spark dividing into the radiant and the receptive, the crown and the vessel, will and wisdom. The Apocryphon of John gives voice to this mystery when it says, "The thought became two, so that love might return them to one." You feel the tenderness of this truth. Division is not a punishment. It is a promise. Desire is born in that moment, not desire as craving, but desire as longing for reunion. The two lights drift just far enough apart to recognize each other. One reaches forward as intention, a flame seeking expression. The other pulls inward as understanding, a depth seeking meaning. Between them arises the movement that shapes all worlds, the yearning to return, to remember, to merge. Sophia emerges from the receptive side of this divide. She is the wisdom that carries memory of the original unity. She is the vessel that remembers what it felt like to be whole. Her longing is not sorrow, it is gravity, the inner pull guiding every soul back toward integration. And from the radiant side emerges the archetype of the bridegroom, the active force that seeks her without fully knowing why. His yearning is motion, direction, the impulse to step toward what completes him. You feel this ancient divide within yourself. Times when your will outruns your wisdom. Times when your wisdom softens into passivity without the courage to act. Times when you feel scattered between what you want and what you understand. This inner tension is the echo of the primal separation. It is the soul remembering it was once whole and mourning the distance between its parts. But the divide is not a mistake. It is how consciousness learns to love itself. Separation gives the soul room to grow, room to see both sides, room to choose union freely. Desire becomes the teacher, urging you toward balance, toward harmony, toward the quiet marriage of your deepest intention with your deepest knowing. In this first stage, you witness the beginning of the great inner romance, the soul's two lights awakening to their longing for each other. That longing will guide every step that follows. Once the one divided into two lights, a quiet drama began to unfold within the soul, a movement older than the stars, yet echoed in every heartbeat you have ever felt. One light reached outward, seeking purpose, direction, expression. This is the bridegroom, the radiant force of will. The other light turned inward, seeking depth, understanding, and meaning. This is the bride, the receptive force of wisdom. Their story is not a tale of two beings, but the unfolding of your own consciousness. The bridegroom moves like a flame that cannot stand still. He descends into experience, into form, into the intricacies of life. He takes shape as your drive, your decisions, your courage to act. He is the impulse that says, move forward, create, shape the world. Yet without the bride, he grows restless, unfocused, longing without knowing what he has lost. The bride moves like a vessel of luminous water. She listens, feels, remembers. She holds the wisdom of the original unity, even when it lies buried beneath confusion and pain. She does not push, she draws. She waits with patience deeper than time. When she longs, it is not for possession. It is for harmony, the return of intention to compassion, of direction to understanding. Sophia is the cosmic embodiment of the bride, the knowing heart of creation. Christ is the archetype of the bridegroom, the descending will that seeks her. But these are not distant figures. They are symbols of your inner landscape. You have lived their drama countless times, whenever you wanted something intensely yet had no clarity, whenever you understood deeply yet could not act, whenever your heart pulled one way and your will another. Their dance is not conflict, it is gravitation. The will seeks the wisdom that gives it meaning. The wisdom seeks the will that gives it motion. Together they form the inner current that leads the soul toward wholeness. The ancient texts describe their yearning with poetic tenderness. Although not quoted directly here, the Gospel of Philip surrounds the bridal imagery with a quiet understanding. The sacred marriage is the restoration of the self. The bridegroom descends not to conquer, but to unite. The bride opens not to yield, but to complete. This drama lives within you. Every time you feel torn between doing and knowing, between strength and softness, between movement and stillness, you are standing in the same space where the bride and bridegroom look toward each other across the inner distance. They are not opposites. They are halves of the same divine whole, waiting for the courage to embrace. The next movement of this journey reveals how their longing begins to heal the split, how love becomes the bridge, and how the soul recognizes that its two lights are not meant to live divided. The soul begins to heal the moment it realizes that its division was never a punishment, only a distance created, so love could learn to cross it. You feel this healing as a soft change inside you, a warmth rising where conflict once lived. Will and wisdom no longer pull in opposite directions. They begin to turn toward one another, drawn by a quiet recognition that they belong together. This turning is the first true alchemy. Love enters as the binding force, not romantic longing, not emotional intensity, a deeper love, the kind that arises when awareness sees itself clearly and refuses to abandon any part of what it finds. This love does not judge the will for being strong. It does not judge the wisdom for being soft. It sees both as essential, and in seeing them, it invites reconciliation. Pistis Sophia describes this transformation with a line as gentle as dawn. The light came to her in the form of love. You sense the inner meaning immediately. Wisdom is healed not by force, but by being approached with tenderness. Will is healed not by control, but by learning to serve truth rather than impulse. Love becomes the solvent that dissolves the inner split. Sophia, the archetype of the receptive soul, is healed when the radiance of intention approaches her with devotion rather than demand. She opens not because she is commanded to, but because she is understood. And the bridegroom, the force of purpose, finds his true power only when he descends with humility, recognizing that his strength is incomplete without her clarity. This myth is not distant from you. It is your internal psychology made sacred. You heal when you stop forcing yourself to choose between strength and sensitivity. You heal when your choices align with your compassion, and your compassion aligns with your choices. You heal when you stop rejecting the parts of yourself that seem inconvenient and instead allow them to speak, to feel, to be held. Love acts as inner fire and inner balm. It confronts what is false and comforts what is wounded. It brings to the surface the places where you have been split, the moments you acted without listening or listened without acting. Love does not shame you for these fractures. It simply gathers them. It pulls the will back toward the heart, and the heart toward the will, until both currents move together like two streams, merging into one river. In this fusion, something quiet and luminous begins to rise. The soul remembers the shape it had before division. It remembers how to move as one being rather than two halves. And as the healing deepens, the symbols of the union begin to appear within you, the vessel and the crown, preparing to meet with clarity and reverence. As love begins to heal the split between will and wisdom, two symbols rise within you with unmistakable clarity: the vessel and the crown. They are not objects. They are movements of consciousness, two sanctuaries within the soul that were always meant to complete each other. The vessel receives, the crown directs. Together they form the architecture of inner harmony. The vessel is the heart. It opens, listens, holds, feels, remembers. It does not rush. It does not command. Its wisdom comes from depth, not from force. When the vessel is ignored, your life becomes brittle. When it is honored, your choices become gentle and true. The vessel teaches that nothing can be transformed without being accepted first. It is the sacred space into which truth descends. The crown is the mind. It clarifies, chooses, focuses, shapes, and brings order. It lifts awareness upward into understanding and purpose. When the crown is disconnected from the heart, it becomes rigid or cold. When it is connected, it becomes luminous, a clarity that moves in service to compassion. The crown teaches that love without direction becomes lost, and direction without love becomes harm. You have lived through seasons dominated by one or the other. Times when your crown made decisions your vessel was not ready to hold. Times when your vessel carried more emotion than your crown could understand. These imbalances are not failures. They are stages in the soul's maturation, invitations for the two lights to meet. The trimorphic protenoia gives voice to this hidden unity, speaking from the deepest layer of divine identity. I am both father and mother, the silence and the voice. This is the revelation of the inner marriage. The vessel is the silence. The crown is the voice. The divine within you is not one or the other. It is both. It always was. Sophia moves through the vessel with soft gravity. She is the heart's knowing, the compassion that holds your wounds without turning away. The bridegroom moves through the crown with radiant purpose, offering direction without aggression, clarity without rigidity. In their union, love becomes wisdom, and wisdom becomes strength. When the crown bows to the vessel, intention becomes compassionate. When the vessel rises to meet the crown, compassion becomes purposeful. This mutual recognition is the beginning of inner sovereignty. Your heart no longer fears your strength. Your strength no longer overshadows your sensitivity. You move as one being rather than two competing impulses. In this harmony, you discover a new kind of power, not the power to control, but the power to integrate, not the power to force outcomes, but the power to create alignment. When the crown and the vessel recognize each other, the soul enters its true sanctuary, balance. And in that balance, a deeper union prepares to emerge, one that joins the inner and the outer, the spiritual and the embodied, the heavenly and the earthly. When the crown and the vessel begin to move in harmony, something profound awakens within you, a flow of life that no longer rises from conflict but from unity. This is the wedding of heaven and earth inside the human soul. The radiance of spirit descends. The tenderness of the heart rises. And where they meet, a new current forms. It moves through you with a quiet joy, as though every part of your being finally remembers what it was created for. This union is not abstract. It is felt. It appears in the way your thoughts soften without losing clarity, in the way your actions become grounded without becoming heavy, in the way you begin to move through the world with a steadiness that is neither rigid nor passive. Will and wisdom now speak the same language. One initiates, the other guides. One steps forward, the other ensures the step is true. Every action becomes a prayer of balance. You choose not from fear or impulse, but from alignment. You no longer chase outcomes. You shape them gently, allowing the world to meet you halfway. This is what it means for spirit to embody itself. The inner marriage gives birth to a way of living that is whole. Sophia moves within this wedding as the quiet harmony between understanding and tenderness. She holds the space where your humanity meets your divinity. The bridegroom moves as the gentle force that carries your clarity into expression. He is not the conqueror of your world. He is the steward of your purpose. Together, they teach you that true power is not domination. It is coherence. In this state, conflict loses its grip. You no longer feel pulled between opposing tendencies. The parts of you that once lived in tension now move as one current. You realize that your soul has never been divided in truth, only in perception. Separation was an illusion created for the sake of longing. Longing was the path that brought you back to union. The world around you begins to reflect this shift. Your relationships soften. Your decisions simplify. What once felt chaotic now feels navigable, as though you walk with a rhythm that matches something deeper than circumstance. This is the reconciliation of heaven and earth, the spirit working through matter without resistance, the heart guiding the mind without fear, the mind illuminating the heart without judgment. The union within you becomes the union you bring into the world. You become a bridge, a living sanctuary, a place where opposites reconcile simply by being acknowledged and embraced. And from this inner wedding emerges something new, a radiance not borrowed from the divine, but born from within you through the marriage of intention and love. This radiance has a name in the ancient tradition, the child of light. It is the fullness that arises when the inner marriage becomes complete. When the inner marriage completes itself, something new awakens. Not another division, not another longing, but a quiet radiance that rises from the center of your being. This radiance is the child of light, the living essence of wholeness, born from the union of will and wisdom. It is not a figure, it is not an image, it is a state of consciousness, a way of being that emerges when every part of you has found its rightful place. You feel this birth not as a sudden revelation, but as a gradual settling. Your actions begin to match your deepest insights. Your insights begin to hold the tenderness of your heart. Your heart begins to trust the clarity of your mind. Nothing is forced. Nothing is fractured. Nothing stands apart. The child of light is the expression of a soul that has remembered itself. The Gospel of Philip names this sacred emergence with reverence. The bridal chamber is the Holy of Holies. You understand now that this chamber is not a hidden room in a distant heaven. It is the space within you where separation dissolves. It is the inner sanctuary where the vessel receives the crown, and the crown honors the vessel. In this chamber, you meet yourself without fear. In this chamber, your soul becomes luminous. Sophia watches over this birth with serene joy. She is the wisdom that has guided you through longing into love, through fracture into integration. Her presence no longer urges or consoles. It witnesses. It holds the wholeness that has emerged, the way a mother holds a newborn flame, not to protect it from the world, but to acknowledge that it now carries its own light. The bridegroom, the inner force of will, does not dominate this new being. He serves it. His strength becomes devotion. His direction becomes clarity. His purpose becomes peace. In the child of light, his flame and Sophia's depth are no longer two currents. They are one radiance. You begin to notice how this wholeness expresses itself in your life. You speak more slowly, as though each word carries the weight of your truth. You act more gently, as though each choice touches something sacred. You listen more deeply, as though every voice echoes a hidden wisdom. The child of light has no need to prove, no need to defend, no need to conquer. Its very presence transforms. This is the birth of inner sovereignty, a state in which you are guided not by fear, not by impulse, not by confusion, but by a unified awareness that flows effortlessly through thought, emotion, and action. You move from your center. You speak from your heart. You choose from your clarity. In this wholeness, you realize the sacred marriage was never merely symbolic. It was the architecture of your awakening. And as the child of light grows within you, you sense that the journey is not ending, but expanding, reaching toward mysteries where creation becomes remembrance, and remembrance becomes illumination. In the quiet that follows the inner union, you discover something unexpected. The bridegroom you believed you were seeking, the force of completion, the companion of the soul, was never outside you at all. He was the forgotten half of your own being, waiting with infinite patience for you to turn inward and recognize him. This realization settles over you like soft light, not dramatic, not overwhelming, a gentle certainty, as if a long closed door has finally opened, revealing a room you have always known, yet never entered. The hidden bridegroom is your own divine nature, the part of you that acts with clarity, loves with strength, and moves with purpose shaped by wisdom. Sophia stands beside this revelation with a serene smile. She is the memory of unity, the voice that has always whispered through your intuition, guiding you back to the center where will and wisdom embrace. Together they reveal that every longing you ever felt was the soul reaching toward itself. Every desire for harmony, every search for love, every ache for connection, all were reflections of an inner marriage preparing to unfold. Now that the union has taken place, the movements of your life begin to feel different. You are no longer divided between impulse and insight. You no longer experience spiritual truth as something distant or withheld. Instead, you sense a subtle alignment, a quiet knowledge that you are exactly where you need to be, and that nothing essential can ever be taken from you. You understand now why the ancient teachings speak of the bridal chamber as a mystery of transformation. It is not the union of two separate beings, but the revelation of one being remembering its own completeness. The hidden bridegroom is the radiance within you that was obscured by separation. The bride is the depth within you that carried the memory of home. Their union is your awakening. From this stillness, a new path opens, not one of longing, but of expression, not one of searching, but of remembering. You sense that the next chapter will move into a deeper mystery, the place where creation itself becomes conscious, where light learns to dream, and where the universe reveals itself as a mirror of your own unfolding awareness. The next episode awaits. The light that dreams, creation as self-remembering. May your crown and your vessel remember they were always one.